In the United States, there are 46 million people that you can reach on Microsoft that you can't reach on Google. There are 67 million that you can reach on Microsoft that you can't reach on Facebook. Saying yes to AI doesn't mean you get to check out. Saying yes to AI should amplify what makes you incredible.
So if you are only running Google Ads, you might be leaving cheap, high intent traffic completely untouched. 80% of the search terms are in the black box. Like we cannot see.
Query resulted in a click, we will show you the search term. So what can be very valuable in terms of building the business case for introducing Microsoft is actually having a budget specifically focused around making sure that you have search term insights and visibility. So that can help you understand what ideas to target maybe on other platforms, what ideas to make negatives, because you're going to get that full search term visibility.
So if you are only running Google Ads, you might be leaving cheap, high intent traffic completely untouched. So I have seen the exact gap in client accounts I manage at Fuel Digital. Advertisers pour 100% of budget into Google Ads and never test the other side. To break this down properly, I have got Nava Hopkins with me. She works inside Microsoft Advertising and knows the platform better than almost anyone I could bring on. So stick around. She is going to tell us exactly where the budget split should go. So Nava, welcome, and let's start with the thing that surprised Google first advertisers the most.
First, thank you so much for having me. It's always a delight to talk about Microsoft advertising, just so that your audience is aware. I spent most of my career actually managing all the platforms. So I'm acutely aware of some of those subtleties. And one of the biggest things that surprises people when they come from Google into Microsoft are some of the unique audiences, as well as some of the unique settings. So I'm going to go over both. On the unique audiences, we have, because of the fact that Microsoft owns LinkedIn, LinkedIn profile targeting. This is a unique to Microsoft ability to direct budget towards or away from particular job seniority, industry, companies, things like that. And what's special about that is that you can have it in observation. So you could just see how different audiences perform. You can also make conscious creative decisions. So say you want to talk to the decision maker versus you want to talk to the person who will actually use whatever it is that you're selling. You can make different creatives based off of that and make intelligent decisions there. Another really unique audience that we have is something called impression-based remarketing. Impression-based remarketing lets you target, exclude, bid up or bid down based off of someone only seeing the ad. Now, while Google does have the ability to target off of YouTube performance, you currently cannot target off of someone seeing an impression off of any ad type. So this is unique to Microsoft. And what's special about this is that it's not only the ability to target off of impressions, it is GDPR compliant. So we built this with the ability that you could either have observation, you can keep your traffic lanes clear, you can have sequential targeting, things like that. So those are two really interesting, unique audiences. On the targeting side, because Microsoft allows you to serve ads in the time zone of the user or the account, you can actually be much more conscious and mindful about your scheduling and targeting. And on the targeting point, we allow you to have location and ad scheduling at the ad group level. So that might mean that some of your hyper segmented out campaigns can be consolidated on Microsoft. So you're able to have conversion density because, and this is true across most platforms, you want to have at least 30 conversions in 30 days in order to help conversion-based bidding function. So that ability to consolidate campaigns and have ad group level location targeting and scheduling is really, really critical.
I mean, like this is such an amazing thing. Like if though for those advertisers who have not touched yet Microsoft advertising, so I think like number one thing is the most important point is like we can retarget people or remarket people on the basis only of impression, because none of the marketing channel, like if I talk about Meta, TikTok, Google, Snapchat, or any other marketing channel, is not providing such amazing feature. And also you just clarify or explain here, like Microsoft also owns the data of LinkedIn profiles, right? So I mean, like if somebody who is in B2B marketing, so I think like for them, Microsoft advertising is a must to try, because like from there they can target people who are definitely the potential or their ideal clientele as well. So yeah, this is something very unique for us.
For sure. One more thing I'll sneak in there, just because I don't think enough people actually understand it. We have an ad type called multimedia ads. And what they are visual and text that get a unique spot on the Bing search result page, and they are Copilot eligible. So ads have been serving on Copilot since 2024, whether you're leveraging PMax, AI Max, search, shopping, or those multimedia ad types, those ads are eligible to serve. It's just that AI ad types will have a higher likelihood of serving on AI surfaces. But multimedia ad types, only one ad will win that auction. So, what a lot of advertisers miss is that opportunity to not only have their text ad, that responsive search ad, serve on the Bing search result page, but also that multimedia ad right next to it or right below it or above it, depending on the search result page.
So
So I
you mean to say,
highly,
yeah, you mean to say like in the Copilot, like multimedia ads are visible at a time. Like if a text-based ads is visible, so along with it, an image should be visible over there.
well, so I want to make sure that this was understood because I
Okay.
said a couple of things very, very quickly. So the first thing is that on the Bing search result page, multimedia ads can serve alongside responsive search ads. That means that you as a brand, if you buy a text ad and it's gets into the auction and it serves on the search result page, you are also eligible to enter a separate auction, which means you're not bidding against yourself on the search ad to have that multimedia ad. Only one advertiser will win that spot because there's only one ad spot currently for that format. So it's a highly underutilized ad type. It's great for building that impression-based remarketing list. And as I mentioned, it is Copilot eligible. So ads will serve in Copilot, and they have done since 2024 when we make a decision that it is so in favor of what the user is looking for and it's so helpful that the ad will serve. But the ad will always be clearly marked. So it's going to say that it's sponsored, and it will be below what Copilot has naturally wanted to give to the user. So sometimes you might see products or you might see images on Copilot. Until you get to the bottom of that conversation, you see that sponsored spot. Like all of that is organic. It's only that sponsored spot that is paid. But I wanted to make it clear that multimedia ads are eligible to serve in those spots, just like PMax, just like traditional search, and just like shopping.
So I think like this is a competitive advantage over Google, because in terms, if I talk about Google, so only multimedia ads are visible to other Google properties, not in the Google search engine. Because in Google search engine, we only have one place to show up an image, and that particular image also should not have any text. It should be only have an image of the product or anything like that. So I think if I talk about in that particular context where the visuals gets a lot of attention from the prospect buyers, so Microsoft has a competitive advantage.
Absolutely. And it's worth noting. I know, and just full disclosure, I did get to see these questions ahead of time, so I could bring the most useful answers. One of the questions I know that you asked me to look into is the unique audience that you can reach with Microsoft, and it's actually really interesting. There are based off of ComScore's data. So this is not our data. This is ComScore's data. In the United States, there are 46 million people that you can reach on Microsoft that you can't reach on Google. There are 67 million that you can reach on Microsoft that you can't reach on Facebook. And it's worth noting, this isn't just a US thing. In India, and again, this ComScore data, there's 24 million people that you can reach on Microsoft that you can't reach on Google, and 91 million on Microsoft that you can't reach on Facebook. So there's a big world out there of really useful humans, and they range from on the younger side all the way up to older, where most people tend to think of Microsoft as being older and more affluent, more educated. It's really interesting because the average user has actually aged down, specifically because Microsoft is so embedded into all the ways that we support you in work and life and play. So yeah, there's a lot of really unique value to Microsoft. As a salesy as I'm going to get, like
Yeah.
I'd like us to focus more on the function.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally got it. Totally got it. So my next question is like if I talk about regarding the cost and competition wise, so how does CPC and CPA typically compare to Google Ads for the same keyword? Because like this is one of the main competitive advantage would be if an advertiser split their budget from Google to Bing ads, Microsoft ads, because if they would be getting a lower CPA and for the sales or for any lead, so there is no point left that they don't start advertising over Bing as well.
Got it. So what I think the question you're asking is, your budget's already strapped real thin. How do you find the budget for Microsoft when
No,
Google's already?
actually, I would reframe my question like if I talk about the comparison regarding the cost and the CPA. So, like,
Got it.
yeah,
The auction.
yeah, exactly. So, how Microsoft ads or Bing ads compete with Google ads in terms of cost, in terms of CPA?
So it's interesting. A lot of people talk about Microsoft being cheaper because no one knows about it. And like there still is certainly a degree to which that's true. What's interesting is that you can definitely see lower CPCs. You can definitely get away with lower budgets. Um, but the value of leveraging Microsoft is more in how you lean into accurate conversion data. So just this is where everyone who is coming from Google, like, keep this instinct with Microsoft. You want to be able to pass accurate conversion data through so that Microsoft goes after the right people. So yes, you should expect to see cheaper cost per clicks. You should be able to see getting value with that lower budget. Yeah, there's lower competition, but also just auction prices tend to be lower. But I would not hyperfixate on CPCs. I'd instead make sure that you are fully in the clear on conversion data. So that's why I recommend making sure that you have your UET, or our version of conversion tracking, set up, even if you're thinking about getting Microsoft going, right from the jump. Because once you have your UET set up and configured and you're confident it's firing, you'll be able to pass accurate, useful signal back into Microsoft so that it allocates your budget meaningfully. Because it doesn't matter if we drive you cheap clicks if they're not the right people. So you want to make sure that you're passing that useful, accurate conversion signal through, and that if possible, you're leaning into conversion values to give even more signal. So Microsoft supports new customer acquisition. Microsoft supports conversion value rules. And what's interesting is that our new customer acquisition is directly tied to the conversion values that you tell us. And we also do not consider unknown customers unique customers. So if we're not confident we're driving you unique users, we see that they're existing customers.
Okay.
So that's why it's really critical that you are passing accurate, useful information through so that we're able to direct budget as meaningfully as possible. What I was going to address on the question of budget being stretched real thin, as we know, search term visibility on Google has been kind of slipping a little bit. Microsoft, not the case. So long as a query resulted in a click, we will show you the search term. So what can be very valuable in terms of building the business case for introducing Microsoft is actually having a budget specifically focused around making sure that you have search term insights and visibility. So that can help you understand what ideas to target maybe on other platforms, what ideas to make negatives, because you're going to get that full search term visibility. Obviously, we love it if you spend as much as possible with us, and we're driving you value, and it's a virtuous cycle. But if you're trying to get the budget to test and you're stretched real thin, one of the really useful business cases to include Microsoft is that search term visibility, to understand how humans are searching so that you can make more intelligent decisions where you don't have that search term visibility.
Yes, this is also another interesting point to start Microsoft Ad, because if I talk about Google Ads, so around sometimes 80% of the search terms are in the black box, we cannot
Yeah.
see. Let's suppose if I spend $200 per day, so I only would be seeing the search term that is spent $20, and the rest of the ad spend that becomes $180 would be in the black box, like filter search term. That's it. So we don't know what was those search terms that people has clicked on and have eaten up my budget. So if we have a clarity being an advertiser, so it would be, it is such an huge advantage. I am just being surprised if the Microsoft has such an amazing feature. So why most of the people, majority of the advertisers are only doing Google Ads, and they are, they are not even bothering to try Microsoft Ads. However, what I am realizing now, the more targeting options on the impression based, and the search term clarity, search term visibility is one of the most important thing, because it is something where we save our ad spend and where we can prevent our ad spend to be wasted. So yeah, this is just an amazing thing.
But to address the point that you just made of why do people, like, what gets in people's way,
Yes.
I'll share, as someone who used to be a practitioner, and I used to have to make decisions. One of the first is people will use import over everything that they had from Google, or everything that they had from Meta, or everything that they had from Pinterest, make zero changes, give it 2 weeks, and then say, I give up, because they don't take advantage of the unique Microsoft specific features. So import is a great way to get started, and it definitely will speed things up. However, you want to take it that step further. The other reason, and this is just a human thing, if you're comfortable working in a certain platform, and suddenly there's this new thing, it can be difficult to build that mental energy. So we try to make it as easy as possible. There's API support. There's a program that we have. I said I wasn't going to be salesy, but I'm going to plug this one thing. We have a program for new Microsoft advertisers, that if you have a certain spend level, we'll give you 6 months of support, and I'll include that as a resource for you to go with the webinar. That if you want to get started, it does require certain spend minimums,
Yes.
but that can be a really meaningful path forward. But then the final reason is that, and this is just an interesting mechanic, a lot of people are used to thinking about Microsoft from the 2014, 2015 period, when it was
The hot.
objectively not as great. And
Yes.
there's been so much progress made. It's just people tend to get locked in their way of thinking. So I hope that what we're talking about now will get people to revisit and think about it. You can check out a whole bunch of content that we put out there. I'll include some additional resources, but yeah, I think there's a certain degree of just habit that people are just used to working with certain folks, and it's hard to build the case internally, like in your mind, to do something unique.
If I talk about in Pakistan, so if I'm not wrong, around 80% of Google advertisers works for other countries like USA, Europe, or any English country. And if I talk about the number of people who use Bing as a search engine, or who use Microsoft for any sort of their work, so I think there's a huge opportunity for all of those people who are doing only Google Ads, for those people or for those location, the English country, including Europe as well. And what they can offer them, like I mean, like they can start with a small budget, just as a split testing. They can start testing the Microsoft ad, and
Yep.
the feature that just I have came to know. I mean, like I'm 100% sure all of them would be getting amazing result. And when they start getting result, they definitely. I mean, like there will not be any reason to quit those ads. They will continue those things. Yeah.
Well, one thing, it's actually really interesting. I'm curious, do you currently use Microsoft Clarity for your customers?
100% I use it because I use it for my business as well, because this is something that gives me the clarity. I mean, from the point a visitor arrives, and how long they stay, and yeah, and what was the point they left the page. Yeah, 100%.
So what's really interesting is that Clarity is also becoming a home for AI visibility. And we literally just launched this topic insights where you're able to understand not only your citation share of how often was your content able to be part of a given grounding query. And just for your audience, grounding queries are the questions AI asks in the background to help answer the human's prompt. But we'll also give you competitive intelligence to let you know, like, who's eating your citation share lunch, and like what could you do to improve that. So where that's really interesting for paid folks who don't always engage with behavioral analytics, or who have been kind of asking, like, why does AI visibility matter to me? Well, with the full search term visibility that you get from Microsoft Advertising, and the search term visibility that you get in respectively with other platforms, you can see overlap between what sort of grounding queries are you coming up for with your organic content, and is the language that's being suggested, or is the language that's being asked, does that align with your business, i.e. are you being understood, and is your landing page for paid, are the keywords that you're targeting for paid pulling you into auctions that you may or may not intend, are there opportunities that you may have been missing. So I think that this is kind of a golden era for true visibility and transparency. So while the idea of manual bidding or getting very specific on creative having to be perfectly tied together, as opposed to assets that are adaptable, 100% getting into the mind of our consumers and understanding how AI is understanding us, that is the future of what PPC is going to look like. And
100%.
so the tools like that can help you begin to build those bridges between your organic teams and paid teams, that there's more collaboration there.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I think like what I understood from your explanation, I think like I only have been using Clarity at a very shallow level. I mean, I only check the behavior of a visitor. That's it. I'm not using it in that depth. I mean, like where the people are coming from. I mean, the AI visibility and all of these things. So I think like I have to dig deep down in that right after this video. Yeah. Okay, so my next question is like, what is the common mistake advertisers make when they treat Microsoft ads exactly like Google ads instead of adapting a strategy? I mean,
So
how advertisers can work differently from Google to Microsoft ads?
one of the biggest differences, and this is a subtle one, is that our editorial policies are a little stricter than Google's. So if you claim that you're the best, if you say that you're number one and your landing page doesn't back that up, there is a very real possibility that given asset will be disapproved. Conversely, we allow exclamation points in your headlines. So if you import everything verbatim from Google or from Meta, because you can import Meta and Pinterest to set up audience ads, it's not saying that the ads will be bad or won't perform. It's just that you need to audit to make sure that they comply with our editorial policies. The other thing that's worth noting is that within Microsoft, we have our little Copilot creative assist, which will help you adjust tone for creative. So if you want to have a more friendly tone, a more professional tone, if you want to do slight revisions, do a full rewrite, it's a very helpful assistant, but still keeps you, the human, in control. A big part of Microsoft's ethos with AI is that AI is in service of humanity. So it's there. You can take advantage of it if you want. But if you prefer to manually control everything and manually do everything, that is also A-OK. The thing is, performance gains typically lie in leaning at least a little bit into AI services. That said, we have had disclaimers since 2021, and our disclaimers do not require you to give up assets. So if you're in a regulated industry, or if you're in an industry that requires you to have a certain bit of text always in all of your ads, rather than eating up valuable ad real estate, you can actually have that disclaimer of up to 500 characters serve with your ads as a pop-up, or you can choose to give up one of your description lines too and have it serve as part of the ad. It's worth noting that when you opt into disclaimers, the disclaimer has to always serve. So that might mean that you can't serve on certain placements that don't support disclaimers. But by and large, it's going to ensure that your ads are compliant, are serving as effectively and efficiently as possible. And it's something that I know Google is currently piloting. It's been there for a while. So if you're importing in from Google, you may not be aware that you can add that in and be compliant and take back some of that ad real estate.
Yes, yes, 100%. Okay, so my next question is, how should a budget allocation between the two platforms typically look like? So if an average advertiser who spend $5,000 per month in Google Ads, and they want to start Bing ads, so at what budget they should start with?
So the first thing with Microsoft Ads is, or Microsoft Advertising, I would not say that there's a fixed percentage that it should or should not be. You want to allow performance to dictate. However, this is true for all platforms. Learning periods are a thing, and the earlier that you clear learning periods, the faster you'll get to success. So what I typically recommend for folks, rather than having a fixed percentage in mind, is plan to budget maybe 15 to 20% more than you were initially planning to test with. And so long as any budget changes are below 15%, and you typically don't want to make too many budget changes, you can make a change maybe once a week or once every couple of days, you're not going to trigger learning periods. So if you start with an aggressive budget and pull that budget back, you'll actually have an easier time seeing what sort of value does Microsoft Advertising truly drive you. So taking it back to that 5,000 example, we have $5,000 and you're adding budget. You want to think about what is the budget that my customer will be willing to support as a test. So typically testing budgets are like that 20 to 25%. If you're borrowing budget, you want to take a look at, is there any area where your impression share loss to budget on Google is like 3% or 5%? Because that means that you borrowing budget from that campaign is not going to be detrimental to that campaign. So you want to allow impression share to help guide that decision on budget. Like if you have impression share loss to budget that's 50% or something like that, you probably don't want to borrow budget. You probably want to find that incremental budget and build the business case for it, with all the reasons that we talked about that are great. But if you're borrowing, try not to borrow from a campaign that's already hurting on impression share loss to budget.
Yeah, I got your point. I mean, we should not disturb any of the campaign that is already optimizing. Yeah, and one question is, like in Google, we have a 7 days learning period, and it is advisable, like we should not disturb or change anything until the 7 days period is over. So if I talk about the Bing ads, Microsoft ads, so what is the number of days that takes as a learning period?
Ideally, you want to allow for 14 days, but 7 days is the minimum. And that 15% budget change or target ROAS, target CPA change, any changes you make, as long as it's 15% or below that 15%, you are in the clear to make those incremental changes. It's when you make a major change that you're going to have to worry about a learning period. So from a pragmatic perspective, if you're in the process of building and getting started, you're making a whole bunch of changes anyway. Make changes up to wazoo. But if you're in month, say 2 or 3 of your campaigns going, and you're figuring out, okay, what am I doing? That's when you want to start being a little bit more cautious and using that less than 15% rule.
Okay, so we also follow that rule of thumb in Google because if after the landing phase is over and our campaign has been stabilized, so it is advisable like do not increase the budget more than 20%. I mean the increment of the budget should be under 20%. So the data does not crash and everything remains stable. So I think the same standards we follow in the Microsoft ads. Okay, so for someone who is already running a profitable Google Ads, so what is the business case for adding Microsoft Ads? What is the actual incremental value? I mean, it will not be any hard and fast rule, but what an advertisers can have in his mind.
So we already talked about the unique users that are reachable through Microsoft. But the other thing that's really interesting and helpful is the ability to build targeting audiences cheaper. So because remarketing lists for search ads and impression-based remarketing are all things, you can have that UET to begin building an audience, the Google Pixel to begin building an audience, the Meta on there to begin building that audience, and have targeting lists or exclusion lists for each platform. So again, you have better search term visibility on Microsoft. You have those unique audiences on Microsoft. So what's actually funny is when I was a practitioner, I used to test all of my ideas on Microsoft because it was cheaper, but also I had much more visibility into what was working and what wasn't. And then I could take those ideas and bring them into Google. So yes, there is an incremental audience. And yes, you absolutely can see, like, there's people that post studies all the time of significantly better return on ad spend, significantly better quality leads. Like, there's a bunch of case studies. I don't want to get too salesy here, but the actionable bit is the ability to look at the true search terms and also build audiences for targeting so that you don't have to deal with a cold audience on the more expensive platforms. Because just like there's a unique audience on Microsoft, there's also an overlap audience. And your ability to start targeting those people with proven creative, and you can make kind of informed bets is really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's I mean this is something unique and not only unique but it is a very strong point of view to start testing, at least testing for advertiser to start testing with the Bing ads. So yeah, my next question is if someone is listening to this and has never touched Microsoft ads, so what is the first and smallest step they should take this week?
So the very first step is to get your Microsoft account set up, get it verified, get that UET tag on. Because you don't necessarily need to start running your Microsoft campaigns right away, but you do want to make sure that you clear the verification process, get your billing set up, get the UET on there, so that you can build an audience for targeting right from the jump. It's also worth noting that you can install Clarity and get Clarity set up right from that UET tag process. Once you're ready to actually start running campaigns, as I mentioned, we have an import functionality that lets you import from Google, from Meta, which means Facebook and Instagram. And then also we have a Pinterest import. It is up to you whether you want to import in what you already have or whether you want to build with Microsoft rules of engagement in mind. I just put out a deep dive into all the mechanics that go into Microsoft advertising functionality. I'll include that there. But it's basically a question of, do you want to build with the future in mind, or do you want to build with legacy proven tactics? That's the determination on whether you want to do import or not. And then the final thing is really think about how you want to communicate with your ideal customers and who they are, because you have ways of targeting humans on Microsoft, speaking to them with different forms of creative. And if you begin with that kind of map out offline, you'll have a much easier time building a meaningful campaign on Microsoft. Again, there's so many planning tools, like there's so many really useful, like nitty gritty, but that would be my action plan is get your account set up. Like you don't even have to worry about running anything, but just get that account set up and verified, complete with UET on the tag. Decide if you want to import or start from scratch, and really think about how you want to communicate with your humans, because that's the sort of work that will help you not only on Microsoft, but on all platforms.
Yeah. So I would be adding a link in the description where you people can follow when you want to create your ad account in the Microsoft. I mean, for Microsoft Ads or Bing Ads. So I think like it would be helpful for them rather than they would be searching over internet like just like a Google has their a unique URL ads.google.com. So similarly, Microsoft also has a unique URL when they want people to create their ad account. Am I right?
Yes. So that's going to be, let me just make sure I don't say it with an S and then it doesn't have an S. I
Yeah.
should know this off the top of my head.
No problem. No, totally understand. I would be
Yeah,
adding
no,
it.
it is ads.microsoft.com. So ads
Yeah.
period microsoft.com.
Yeah. So my next question is like just like Google has their multiple properties that support their ads, right? Let's say analytics where we can see the behavior of audiences and the tag manager where we get support from tracking setup and installation of the tag. So does Microsoft also offer that sort of support with the tools that is associated with the ads?
Absolutely. It's just that we don't require you to log into multiple dashboards to do it. So most of it is actually covered by that ads.microsoft.com. Clarity is going to be the only one that requires that true unique login.
Okay.
But everything else is going to be under that ads.microsoft.com. It is worth noting that you can get your UET synced into your Google Tag Manager. So if you decide to use Google Tag Manager, you absolutely can do that. You also can choose to leverage our APIs and other data connections for other data analytics, but that's you choosing to take that data outside. We also offer a Microsoft editor so that you can work offline.
Just like a Google Ads editor, right?
Correct.
Correct.
But yeah, one of the things that's actually really interesting, we acknowledge that most people don't want to go to multiple places. So we don't ask you to go to multiple places. So there's a single major domain that then within that domain, you have the different sections. And it's worth noting that if you're lost, we have a search bar that will help you navigate and find the tools. You also can ask Copilot to help you find and troubleshoot and do all these things on the side. That includes checking your conversion tracking, your UET setup. So that's there as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, like, that is really good to know all the amazing features. And I don't know why Google Ads Advertiser, along with myself, has not touched the Microsoft Ads and have not advised our customers to start working on that platform as well. Because I totally understand if we do not leverage any marketing platform or marketing channel, it means we are losing some of the money under the table because some portion of the audiences must be there. I mean, like it be a small percentage, but at least something is there as well. So it is advisable. I mean, to all of those people who are watching this video and all of them, they if they run Google Ad for their clients or for their own business, so it is advisable to start testing. I will not say running, to start testing with a small budget at
Yeah.
Microsoft Ads. And I think like if you leverage all the features and all the facilities that is provided by the channel itself, I think like you would be amazed to see the result. And if a business gets the results that contribute to the growth of their sales or leads, and obviously to save some cost. I mean, so there is no question left to stop or quit from the advertising of that particular marketing channel. So yeah, I think this is one of the best discussion I have till now.
Uh, that's amazing. One last thing I'll throw out there. We truly are hungry for feedback. We are hungry to understand how we can serve everyone better. So if there are thoughts, ideas, I, I cannot promise we will build all of them or any of them, but there is conscious meaningful effort being put into serving all of our customers and bringing features that will truly make lives easier and better. So if you have not already submitted tickets or checked out the ideas portal, that's a link I will share with you for this. It's actually an area where the community can make suggestions to our product team and upvote other ideas so that you have that line into product as well. So while I can't guarantee, again, that what you ask for will get built, it at least is going to be seen and tracked by product and engineering. And so that's just a way for you to be involved and be a partner with us as we all help each other achieve profit and victory. I guess I'll end by saying first, thank you so much for inviting me and to share all the Microsoft goodies. Definitely take advantage of the fact that we are as built into being a partner to support you and looking at how we can build better together. There are three things I think everyone should do or should at least think about from our conversation. The first is how can you, for any platform you're leveraging, pass clean conversion data, clean conversion signal reliably? And if the answer is you can't, think about how you can mitigate that either with when we want to do micro conversions or you want to leverage other forms of signal. It's really, really important. The second, Microsoft Clarity is a free behavioral analytics tool that not enough paid folks actually pay attention to. And the ability to understand for free what is happening on landing pages as well as the AI visibility is just incredible. I've been a Clarity fangirl forever, and so definitely recommend checking that out. But the last thing I'll say is that there's a real crossroads moment that we as marketers and even more so as humans are at. And a big reason why I said yes to Microsoft and why I continue to say yes to Microsoft is I'm very much in favor of the AI and service to humanity ethos that we have, that it is, you do not need to give up what makes you incredibly special, your critical thinking, your creative thinking. Like, saying yes to AI doesn't mean you get to check out. Saying yes to AI should amplify what makes you incredible. And so a lot of what we build at Microsoft is very thoughtful on that piece of how can we serve all of the amazing humans that we serve in the most meaningful of ways. So if you believe in that idea that our creative thinking, our critical thinking is important, it is worth playing with Microsoft, whether however you want to play with our tools, whether our advertising or Clarity or whatnot, and just see how your creative thinking and critical thinking are maintained.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I think I would call the three specific point that you have just, I would say the 3 point that you had just explained here. I mean, these are the nuggets of the entire discussion, people from where they start and what they look for in the marketing channel. Yeah. And thank you so much, Nava, for joining me here at this podcast. And I'm so grateful that you share the valuable thing that is still most of the advertisers, including myself, didn't aware about it. And I think like all of the audiences, the viewers who is watching this definitely will get the benefit from the Microsoft channel as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.